Welcome back to the show. Now, while we were enjoying ourselves on the show last week, Charles was researching everything about American property with Century 21 from Las Vegas. So, Charles, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you,
What's
Chris.
happening with the US?
Well, the beer prices are not as high as Singapore and not as high as Australia. So as long as you're gambling, it's all free. So there you go. Just to go and sit down and lose your money.
Perfect place.
Just go and lose your money. That's all there is.
It's the clearance weights. What's happened that?
Oh, yes, that's again where we really have been close to what's happening in the marketplace recently. You know, everybody was talking heat. So I heard Tom earlier on talking it down a little, which was great because that's where we've been seeing it for a while. The clearance rates on average hit a 69.4%. Now, this time last year it was 64.1%. So we're now starting to get closer to what it was like. And the best performing city was Sydney at 76.4. Melbourne hit 69.4, same as the average across the country. But Adelaide, there's a 58.8. That one's been going pretty well for quite some weeks, but nice and steady. Nice and steady.
I think we're having trouble with the chart, so they might have to visualise that anyway.
No problems.
Here we go. It's up on the screen now. So
you can see that. You can see it's been flatlining again. Most of the charts have been, and I think that's excellent because when you look at it that way, for me, it takes a hit. There was that big spike you can see in there, and that's really quite incredible. And a lot of people getting a bit excited, and then I'm glad it's pulled back again. But that's been helped by sellers who are coming on the market at a lot higher price now. And
so what's happening now? Is there more properties advertised for sale?
No. Actually, it has been for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, but last week it was down 2.09% across Australia and negative 9.5% across New Zealand. So we've had a week where stock levels have dropped significantly. So whether that's another sign that maybe the market might start to pick up a little bit down the track, could be the case. I wouldn't be surprised, but right now it's nice and steady.
Because, I mean, certainly coming from Singapore, then seeing all the expats over there, which are finding it really hard to buy over here because obviously the distance, but there's still plenty of them. Exchange rates are still reasonable kind of overseas, so there's still plenty of demand.
Were you working while you were over there?
Yeah, no, I work all the time, Charles. I haven't got time for play.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, no, so we're doing some seminars speaking to the expats.
Right.
Because, again, the problem is for a lot of people overseas is they don't have the information because they're not getting the newspapers. Yeah. Maybe they're getting some of the emails and things, but they don't get the TV shows, so they don't actually hear what's going on.
Yeah, look, we've had a massive change. There's been a spike in price, according to RP data today. I think it's just a balancing act for the quarter, but we'll see what happens towards the end of the month.
OK, and what about rent price movements?
Still the same, still, again, flat. Sydney was 11.35% increase, still maintaining that 11s. Melbourne 7.45 and Perth there was 18.72. So it gave an average of 3.5. If somebody's out there with a calculator, they might want to check me on that one, but it should be pretty close to being right.
Good stuff. And Jane was very good with her numbers when you were away.
She?
Yeah, we had an audience tick on her.
Oh, that's yeah. I've seen a few of them. Don't worry. I'm getting a little upset.
We'll move on to the vacancy rates.
Yes, the vacancy rates again pretty steady across the country. Sydney's the best performing at 1.91% vacancy rate, which is really fantastic. Melbourne jumped up a little bit, and that jumped up in 3.92. So that actually outstripped Perth, which has always been the highest for a while. That came in at 3.39% with a total of 3.07%. So again, on average, it's nice and steady across the country. Good time in real estate, actually.
Now, we were talking about the Genworth confidence survey earlier on. I'm not sure if you saw the facts and figures. Where do you see confidence at the moment? And I guess two markets, I guess the first home buyers and general investors.
Well, I had a gentleman ring me today from the press to ask me my view on that because affordability apparently is at its absolute worst that it's ever been. I think affordability has been an issue and will be an issue all of the time. I don't think it ever changes. It just gets worse sometimes than others. It was an issue when I bought my first home, and I just think it'll continue to be an issue. Well,
and that was a few years ago, because again, part of the survey was saying, oh, it's tougher now than it was before, and you bought a few years ago. Was it pretty tough then?
It was a few years ago, yes. It cost me $23,000, and I think I told you it was on a main road and across the road from a railway station, which they generally describe as a stone's throw to all amenities. So there you are. It was.
But as you say, it's always going to be tough.
Yeah.
You need to get a job. I had 4 or 5 jobs when I was a little kid. That's what it takes. Then that's what you got to do.
It is.
It's that and saving, right?
Yeah, it's not going to change. It's not going to change. It's
and tapping up the parents. Educating the parents.
Nice
because,
question.
again, we find parents won't give handouts. but they'll help their kids.
Yes.
And they might match dollar for dollar, or they might help to use equity, which doesn't cost them any money. It's just more of a guarantee.
Mind you, Chris, if you didn't get into the market a year ago when affordability was a crisis, you're in a lot more trouble today.
Okay. Charles Tarbey, Arthur Chalaftis, thanks for joining us, gents. Good to see you at home as always, and we'll be back again next week. Until then, I'm Chris Gray. Good night.